Hey, Joe Gilder here. Want to show you behind the EP part 3. This song is called Comfort, and this one was really fun. It kind of, in some ways, was exactly what I expected it to be, and in some ways was a little different. So, for example, when I originally wrote the song, you may have seen that video where I wrote it. It definitely had very much this kind of this sort of vibe to it. Maybe more like this. So never mind. It had more of this and it still has sort of that vibe, but that original guitar part is gone. It didn't actually make it into it. I found that just having more like diamond chords, so the guitar's just going down, 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 letting that ring out, bow, bow, and then having the acoustic kind of carry some of that rhythm. And even the acoustic ended up being more straight. It just felt more right for the song after we had recorded some stuff. The funnest part was, as we were setting up to record, or getting ready to record this song, and kind of I was talking through the song and let them hear the scratch vocal and guitar that we were going to record to, Brent, the bass player, started playing this, just kind of goofing around. Which I thought was super cool, especially given that everything I'd done to that point was guitars going down, ding, down, down. And I wanted some different dynamic and element to it. And so we recorded that, and ended up being kind of a little bit of a theme. You hear it in the intro, and then you also hear it in kind of the down chorus. Again, we went to a bridge to a down chorus. That's 3 times we've done that so far. Whoops. But you hear that, it comes back to that same almost like a jazzy sort of smoky sort of sound to it, to which I added a little electric guitar part, which just kind of complemented it, I think, pretty nicely. So let's take a quick listen to kind of, if you haven't heard the song yet, let you hear a little bit of that, and then I'll walk you through the rest of the production process. Something I forgot to mention in the last video last week for the song Trade, but I think I mentioned it in the first video. One of the big kind of themes behind my vocal tone on this project is the slapback delay. I think I've already talked about it, but it's very it's distorted delay. Look in the mirror. So that's what the delay sounds like. Combine that with the dry vocal. Look in the mirror. Just gives it that thick kind of just rock and roll sort of sound that I dig. Some people don't dig it, and that's totally fine. The other cool thing about this, you heard some distorted organ in the last song. I really kind of tried to feature it in this one. So the idea was, instead of just distorted guitars, what if I had kind of one big guitar, another guitar not quite as big. Okay, so it is just as big. But then if I had an organ to kind of blend the two, and that's kind of what I was going for, to kind of have it not all just be guitars getting that big rock sound. Regrettably, I don't know if that part comes through as well in the final mix, but it's a cool part regardless. Down in the mirror. It's kind of masked by the guitars, but in one version of the mix early on, it was a lot louder, and I probably turned it down. But anyway, that's a fun part, and it kind of just adds almost an extra guitar part on top of the existing guitars. Production-wise, this is pretty straightforward. We dropped down to just really light kind of palm mute guitars and that organ for the first verse. Acoustic guitar is kind of playing pretty straight as well on the verses. Really just really simple guitar part. And going into the chorus, and this was a hard one to make the first chorus sound big. The rest of the choruses, it got a little easier, but this first one I needed to make work. And I think we landed on something pretty good by just holding out chords in the guitars and letting the drums carry the rhythm.
Comfort, comfort, we bow down to you.
Because what my initial instinct was for the electric guitars to go jung, 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 jung. And that just felt too busy. It didn't have the bigness to it. And letting it just hold out chords while the acoustic guitar strums and the drums and bass kind of carry the rhythm, that felt pretty good. What kind of started bringing it together for me from a production standpoint was when I recorded these two simple little electric parts. Because up until this point, it was pretty mid-range heavy. There wasn't really anything bright happening. The organ isn't bright like we normally think of an organ. And this just took, to me, this ended up being one of my favorite parts of the song because it comes in here at the first turnaround after the first chorus, and it kind of takes you, it says, oh, okay, something new is happening. So verse 2, we drop out one of the guitars entirely, this guitar. This guitar just holds out notes. So then, really the only thing holding the rhythm down, aside from drums and bass, are the acoustic guitar and the organ. So as much as I missed hearing that organ in verse 1, it does make a little more of appearance here, which I think works out nicely. So second chorus, the way we kind of added a little more energy, obviously we're reintroducing those two full guitars that weren't really present during that verse, but we're also bringing in those really high jangly guitars in for the entire chorus. They weren't there for the first chorus, they are there. You can see I had them there for the first chorus, but I muted them, so they're not there anymore, and so they come back in at the second chorus.
Comfort, comfort, we bow down to you. Comfort, comfort.
So then going into the bridge is just a very straightforward jung, 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 jung. Drummer went to,
I know this feeling is strong. I know that something is wrong.
Real straightforward beat. Everybody is just playing dum 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 dum, which just felt right for the song.
I know this feeling.
So of course I needed something with some sustain, and that just a really overdriven guitar with a lot of reverb seemed to fit the bill pretty well. And that leads us, it builds up into the chorus, and it's a down chorus where we reintroduce that sweet little bass line with that sweet little guitar part, and then it hits you hard and goes into a final chorus. And I'll play all that for you in just a second as kind of your outro music. The final chorus then introduces a piano and, of all things, a glockenspiel, just playing quarter notes. It's the dumbest little part, but tucked way back in the mix, it adds just a little extra something that didn't really feel right to be a tambourine. Didn't feel like I needed more guitars. Just needed to be something. And actually, now that I look at it, I should have put these guitars on that final chorus, and I didn't, which is really interesting how I forgot that. No. Here's what it is. So I guess I replaced it with this really big guitar that's holding out notes. To be completely honest, I think that's an oversight. I think I meant to put these guitars here at the end, and I just forgot. I guess the decision, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if there was a decision, but this part is playing these obnoxious, lots of reverb, lots of delay, bending notes, just total, hey, look at me, guitar part. But in the back of the mix, it felt pretty good. And that must have been the reason why I didn't bring these back in for that final chorus. I guess it could have gone either way. It didn't bother me enough to where I didn't notice it until just now. So there you go. You're hearing it live, folks. I might have forgotten to put those there, and that's okay. So what else did we do into that final chorus? Nothing really. We introduced the glockenspiel and piano. The B3's back in. All the guitars are there in addition to that, very braggy, over-the-top guitar part. And I think it works pretty well. So that is it. That's all I want to show you on this song. This one was a little more straightforward. You could tell from just listening to the album version. Speaking of, if you'd like to mix this song and also get the high-resolution masters of this album, check out Mix Practice. I'll put the link down below. homestudiocorner.com/practice. You get all the multitracks to this EP, plus all the multitracks to every other album or EP I've released, plus in the future, all the multitracks I will ever release. So if I release 1 million more records, you'll get all those multitracks for free if for a one-time payment that you pay now for these tracks. So there you go. It's a very cool thing. Check it out. Or if you just want to listen to the EP, it's on my website, joegildermusic.com, or you can find it on Apple Music, Spotify, and all those fun places. So to change things up a little bit, here's your outro music. We'll come out of the, we'll play from the bridge. Now we'll play the end of the bridge into that down chorus, into the big chorus for the outro. Hope you enjoy it. I'm going to go make a cup of coffee.
From this pain